When her daughter falls into a coma, a washed actor pretends to be her in hopes of coming back to stardom. One day, Ronnie watches the video footage of her winning the Logie Awards in 2004, her way of reminiscing about the glory she once had. Currently, she's managing a drama school for children, as acting has always been her passion. Suddenly, her daughter, Audrey, calls her name as she needs her almond milk, snapping her out of her reverie. Since she's yet to appear, Audrey barges inside her parents' bedroom to search for her. To her surprise, she catches her father, Cormac, in a compromising position. Cormac wonders why she entered their room, and the teen explains that she's searching for her mother because they ran out of almond milk. She angrily reminds him that she can only consume plant-based milk, so Cormac volunteers to purchase one out of guilt. Meanwhile, Nora, the youngest daughter, has trouble leaving the bathroom because the doorway isn't designed for her wheelchair. As she forces her way out, the door breaks, so she summons her father for help. Later in the kitchen, Cormac informs Ronnie about the bathroom door, so she reprimands Nora for being impatient. Just then, Audrey enters the room and hands Ronnie a document about her community service. She encourages her mother to sign it so that she'll be done with the requirement. Ronnie is hesitant as Audrey exploits Nora's condition as a reason to avoid fulfilling her responsibilities. Upon hearing this, Nora is irritated that she's always treated as a vulnerable person, just because she has cerebral palsy. Because Ronnie refuses to cooperate, Audrey emphasizes that redoing her community service will forbid her from attending Lucinda Domitrov's masterclass. Since she's grooming Audrey to become an actor like her, Ronnie eventually signs the document. On their way to school, Max asks Audrey if she has informed her mother about their plans to travel to Nepal after graduation. She reprimands him for discussing their plan in front of Nora when it's supposed to be a secret between them. Dismissing her worries, Max explains to Nora that they are blessed to attend a UNESCO-sponsored house-building program. Nora is interested in it, so she asks if she can come along. Audrey objects to the idea, because it's her only way to be away from her restrictive family. Meanwhile, Cormac meets with Bourke, the minister, and his current employer to discuss the necessary carpentry jobs for the ministry. However, as they're conversing, Cormac can't stop ogling Bourke, for he's secretly attracted to him. Ronnie, on the other hand, is at the mall, enjoying herself while trying on a few trendy clothes. A salesperson approaches Ronnie and compliments her, saying that she looks youthful, which flatters her. After shopping, Ronnie accompanies Nora to her physical therapy when she learns that her daughter wants to try fencing. Nora's physical therapist is hopeful for her because he finds potential in his patient. Ronnie is annoyed at his encouragement, pointing out that fencing classes cost a fortune. Due to her refusal, Nora feels hurt because it's the only thing she's asking for from her. Later, the pair heads to Audrey's vocal school to pick her up. To Ronnie's dismay, she discovers that her daughter has ditched her class. Immediately, Ronnie tracks Audrey on the pier and finds her fooling around with Max. Angered, she reprimands Max because Audrey missed her class just to be with him. Back home, Ronnie scolds Audrey's behavior, stressing that she's neglecting her future. Audrey voices that it's never the future she wants, because Ronnie simply imposed it on her. Displeased with her daughter's words, Ronnie emphasizes all the sacrifices she's made for her, especially in helping her build her career. Audrey refuses to become an actor, so she declares that she'll be quitting drama school. Instead, she reveals that she plans to continue flying to Nepal with Max to build houses for the disadvantaged. Upset, Ronnie continues to talk sense to her, as she fears that her sacrifices will be in vain. Bluntly, Audrey stresses that she refuses to become a failed and untalented actor like her mother. Hurt, Ronnie cries alone in their room when Cormac appears hoping to comfort her. Suddenly, the couple hears Nora's voice, who notifies them of Audrey's attempt to hurt herself. On the roof, Audrey attracts the neighbors' attention by making herself a spectacle. As she expresses her hatred toward her mother's controlling behavior, she almost falls, frightening herself. To her surprise, her neighbors applaud her, thinking she's only performing. Audrey uses this to mock her mother by performing a play. However, she slips again, which makes her more afraid for her safety. Cormac hurriedly carries the ladder to her location, but when he raises it, it gets jammed, upsetting Ronnie. Unthinkingly, she climbs the ladder to save Audrey, but she's too late because her daughter just fell to the ground. The next day, in the hospital, the Lipsick family is asleep after spending the night guarding Audrey, who's comatose upon sustaining life-threatening injuries. Ronnie awakens to the sound of her phone, which compels her to answer it. She's surprised to learn that an attendant from Lucinda's masterclass requires Audrey to verify her ID in person. Since her daughter is indisposed, Ronnie tries to negotiate, but the attendant reveals that tomorrow is the last day. In the end, Ronnie lies about letting Audrey meet them tomorrow, afraid that the opportunity will slip away. Sometime after, in school, Audrey's friends, Irene and Andy, approach Nora. They share that they plan to hold a memorial for Audrey and encourage her to join them in performing an interpretative dance. Since she has never had friends, Nora is delighted to be part of their team. Just then, Max appears and invites her to accompany him to visit his girlfriend in the hospital. The following day, Ronnie pretends to be Audrey, rocking the trendy clothes she bought. The attendant is confused because she looks different from the ID she presented. To convince her, Ronnie lies that her travels in Nepal caused her to age a little. Surprisingly, the attendant accepts her alibi and informs her that she can start classes on Monday. On the day of the workshop, Lucinda Domotrov is curious about why Ronnie attends her class. Ronnie provides a pretentious and static answer, which dissatisfies the mentor. To show her an example, Lucinda asks one of the participants about her reason, and the woman boldly answers that she wants to be famous. Upon hearing this, Ronnie admits that she wants to prove to her family that she is a talented actor, not a fraud. Finally, Lucinda hears the answer she wants, so she promises to help her show them her capabilities. Lucinda turns to leave, but out of curiosity, she inquires Ronnie about her name. Remembering she's doing this for her daughter, Ronnie lies that she's Audrey. The succeeding day, Cormac, under Bork's coercion, joins the ministry's support group. Initially, Cormac feels too shy to share his problem, so he lies to Bork, saying that she doesn't have any. Because of this, Bork proceeds to call for a different volunteer, and a few of the members show their interest. Cormac changes his mind and pleads with Bork to retake his turn. With tears in his eyes, Cormac lies that his family is gone because Ronnie took her own life after she harmed Audrey. Bork sympathizes with Cormac, so he hugs him, unaware that it's all part of his plan to be closer to him. As a result of Cormac's lie, Bork begins to be physically close to him, even if he's working. Bork shares that he understands Cormac's feelings because he used to be at his lowest. Changing the subject, Cormac is curious about what's inside the mysterious ministry door. Bork reveals that it's a film studio that produces niche marital aids, which intrigues him. One day, Bork takes Cormac inside the film studio because he needs another person for their shoot. Cormac is assigned to work as a boom operator, and his proximity to the Bear actors awakens his desire. That night, Cormac starts to behave differently. He fixes their roof, and even makes their bathroom doorway accessible for Nora. However, Nora isn't enthusiastic about expressing her gratitude, because she believes he should have done it in the first place. Instead of getting angry at her daughter's snarky remark, Cormac simply laughs it off. For the first time, the Lipsticks share a dinner without animosity with each other, and even play games together. The following day, as Nora is practicing for the interpretative dance, she receives a text message from Max. He starts flirting with her by requesting that she send photos of herself, and Nora complies. Before their conversation takes an inappropriate turn, Ronnie enters the room and checks on her daughter. Nora informs her that she's just practicing, so Ronnie encourages her to showcase her talent. Afterward, Ronnie takes Nora to a fencing class, which confuses her daughter because she remembers they can't afford it. Ronnie has no chance to address her concern as the fencing instructor welcomes her to the class. Meanwhile, Bork expresses his frustration because the scenes in their film aren't working. In an attempt to help him, Cormac informs Bork that he has an idea for improving the scene. Shortly after, Bork meets Cormac in his car to thank him for helping him with the shoot earlier. He believes that Cormac has a talent for directing, so he encourages him to pursue it. Out of impulse, Cormac proceeds to kiss Bork, leading them to make love. Their affair reignites Cormac's desire for his wife, now that he has released his repressed desire. For this reason, he goes to the hospital and makes love with Ronnie in Audrey's room. As the couple rests after the deed, Ronnie remembers that they need to attend Nora's performance for Audrey's memorial. Right away, they race to the venue and show their full support for their daughter. Following this, Nora expresses her gratitude to Ronnie for her support. Ronnie then invites her to have ice cream together, but Nora declines because she has to attend an after-party at Irene's. Back home, Ronnie and Cormac enjoy their night alone by having a date on their roof. Suddenly, Ronnie voices that Audrey's accident is meant to be because things start to fall into place. To her surprise, Cormac shares the same perspective. Throughout the evening, the couple makes love to make up for the times they've treated each other coldly. Meanwhile, at the party, Max expresses to Nora that he can love her because Audrey never did. Desiring her, Max proceeds to make love to her, which Nora favors. Just after the deed, Max is about to leave when he stumbles upon Nora's parents outside the room. Confused, Nora questions them why they seek her, and they sadly reveal that Audrey has regained consciousness. A few weeks later, instead of being celebratory, the Lipsick family is miserable when Audrey returns to their house. Aside from her bossiness, she's disrespectful to Ronnie, to the point that she intentionally spits water at her mother to tease her. Nora is also affected by it because Max stops replying to her texts and becomes cold to her. The next day, at the acting workshop, Lucinda is disappointed with Ronnie's performance. She points out that she lacks a soul and can't figure out what object she's portraying. For Lucinda, convincingly playing her character is vital for her success as an actor. Out of stress, she lashes out at Lucinda, expressing that she's done pushing herself to be the best. On campus, Nora confronts Max for ignoring her, but he refuses to acknowledge her presence. However, she's confused because Irene and Max appear to be hostile to her all of a sudden. It turns out that Max falsely informed them that she took advantage of him. Nora attempts to explain the actual events that transpired, but Irene cuts her off and accuses her of being a manipulator. Later that night, Cormac attempts to make love with Ronnie to release her frustrations. However, they are discouraged when Audrey summons them to help her fetch water. The next day, Nora heads to her room, but she's surprised that Max and Audrey are getting intimate in her bed. Audrey notices her presence, but she's unbothered because it's her way of spiting her sister for having an affair with Max. At that moment, Ronnie enters the room and is horrified at the scene. Taking a grudge for setting up Nora before, she angrily kicks Max out of their house. Ronnie and Cormac then take their daughters out for an ice cream to lift Nora's mood. Unexpectedly, Cormac realizes that Bork is also in the park, so he plans to keep his family from meeting him. Just as they're about to leave, the ice cream vendor announces that Nora's order is finished. It's been a while since they've seen each other, so Bork, who's overjoyed at their reunion, hugs him tightly. Ronnie notices their strange closeness, so she proceeds to confront them if they're in a relationship. Without hesitation, Bork confirms, but this upsets Ronnie because she thought they were starting to have a harmonious marriage. Bork is shocked to learn that Cormac is still married, especially since he shared with their community that his wife destroyed their family. Cormac tries to deny Bork's revelation, but Ronnie believes the minister. Angered, she berates Cormac for his unfaithfulness, emphasizing that it can ruin her career. Now, under Ronnie's orders, Cormac spends the night in their backyard. One day, Ronnie receives a notification from Audrey that she has tagged her in a viral video. It turns out that Audrey created a reel exposing Ronnie for stealing her identity. Ronnie feels helpless, knowing that the career she's trying to build is ruined. Immediately, she heads to Lucinda's estate to seek her opinion on the incident. Lucinda expresses that she understands Ronnie's actions, supposing that she did it to preserve her future. All she sees is a mother who's unwilling to sacrifice her only happiness for her children. Upon hearing this, Ronnie then allows herself to be vulnerable with her. She recounts her dreams of continuing her acting career and eventually winning an Oscar. Sadly, her dreams crumble because she has to become a devoted mother. Despite this, Lucinda believes that her failed dreams will benefit her because she has a perfect role for her. She announces that she'll be playing Medea, thinking that she'll perform well as their stories are almost the same. That night, Ronnie finds Audrey watching her Logie Awards acceptance speech video, surprised that she's interested in it. Audrey invites her to watch it together, sparking Ronnie's hope it's the start of their reconciliation. Contrary to this, Audrey proceeds to point out that in Ronnie's acceptance speech, she sees that her mother has realized that she's a fraud. This time, Audrey expresses how she struggles to find her authentic self because Ronnie shaped her to follow her steps. She blames her for the pressures she's subjected to, which has resulted in her self-loathing. As if a threat, she stresses that she's now a monster who'll continue to destroy her dreams. Hearing her threat makes Ronnie paranoid, so she thinks of a plan that will prevent Audrey from ruining her dreams. The following morning, Ronnie invites Max into their residence to guard Audrey while they're away. She pours him a lemonade spiked with herbicide, and Max takes a sip without hesitation. He compliments her concoction, finding the flavor unique. Pretending to be flattered, Ronnie thanks him, but she orders him to share it with Audrey later. When the rest of the Lipsicks are away, Audrey awakens, and she's surprised that she's left alone with Max. She asks him about her family's whereabouts, and Max informs her that they're attending Ronnie's play. Audrey is repulsed at his presence, for she keeps on remembering how he treated Nora poorly. To make amends, Max apologizes for his mistake, emphasizing that he's just human. He offers her medication to relax, which Audrey eventually accepts. She then downs the lemonade, delighted by its taste. Not long after, Max suffers from nausea until he convulses to the ground. A distraught Audrey attempts to help him, but Max slowly perishes. The same poisoning symptom occurs in Audrey's system, but the teen refuses to succumb to death yet. Instead, she drives herself to the theaters to confront her mother. While Ronnie is immersed in her acting, a weakened Audrey enters the auditorium and informs the crowd that her mother poisoned her. However, her delivery appears as if it's part of the play, so the audience is interested in how their performance will unfold. Ronnie remains in character despite her daughter's suffering, so Audrey has no choice but to play along. Filled with emotions, Audrey confronts Ronnie for thinking of ending her child's life. Unfortunately, the poison slowly claims her life, so Audrey slumps into her mother's arms, unable to hear her answer. Ronnie communicates to the crowd that all of her actions are just a reflection of her maternal devotion. The audience is moved by their confrontation, which mirrors the story of Medea, who claimed her children's lives as revenge. Ronnie savors the glory she feels at the audience's applause, uncaring that Audrey is fighting for her life. The next day, the authorities interrogate Ronnie regarding Max's passing. Acting innocent, Ronnie frames Max as the culprit for trying to end Audrey's life. She showcases her fake tears, which eventually gains the detective's sympathy. Following this event, the Lipsick family's lives have changed. Ronnie is now in an open relationship with Cormac and Bork, while Nora has a pet and friend she can call her own. As for Audrey, the teen is on life support, which Ronnie exploits to make her appear as a devoted mother. Through this, she's able to bag acting gigs in commercials. Unbeknownst to her, Audrey has regained her consciousness, which will threaten Ronnie's blooming career.
Subscribe to watch more videos like this, turn on notifications and leave a like to help the channel out. Thank you for watching.